They have a lot of debt. They have dwindling profits and cash.
Nissan is in panic mode, looking for somebody to save them.
That have to be Japanese. This is the end of an era, in a sense, where the Japanese find themselves under attack from an emergent and ascending Chinese auto industry.
The worst time to buy a car is right before the brand behind it starts falling apart. That is when the deals look tempting, the monthly payments look comfortable, and the showroom still feels normal. But underneath, the company may already be cutting models, losing buyers, confusing its identity, or fighting to stay relevant. In 2026, some well-known car brands are showing exactly those signs. They are not all dead, but they are becoming risky in ways buyers may not notice until it is too late. So before you trust the badge, the warranty, or the discount, here are 6 car brands collapsing in 2026 and why you should avoid them. Number 6, Genesis. This one is not a simple failure story, and that is why it has to be handled carefully. The cars themselves are not the obvious problem. Many of them look impressive. The styling is sharp, the interiors feel expensive, the cabins are quiet, and the feature lists are usually strong for the money. For a buyer who wants comfort, technology, and a premium feel without paying the full luxury price, it can look like the smart move. That is what makes the brand so tempting. You sit inside one, compare it with something from Mercedes-Benz, Lexus, Audi, or Bayerisch Motorenwerks, and you may start wondering why anyone would pay thousands more just for a more familiar badge. On paper, that question makes sense. But luxury cars do not sell on paper alone. They sell on emotion, recognition, and status.
That is the wall Genesis is still trying to climb. Luxury buyers are paying for what the badge says before the car even starts. They want recognition, status, and confidence that the name will still carry weight when it is time to sell or trade in. Genesis has grown, and it deserves credit for that. But growth does not automatically equal status. A Lexus badge already means something to most buyers. A Mercedes-Benz badge already means something. Genesis still has to explain itself to people who are not deep into car reviews. And in luxury, having to explain the badge is already a disadvantage. The Hyundai connection is part of the issue. For some shoppers, that connection is a strength because Hyundai has improved a lot. But for traditional luxury buyers, it can also create doubt. They may like the vehicle, but still wonder whether they are getting a true luxury brand or a better-dressed version of something mainstream. That may sound unfair, but resale value is not always fair. It follows perception. A Genesis can feel like a bargain when new, but the real question is what the market thinks later. If used buyers do not value the badge like they value Lexus or German luxury brands, depreciation becomes the hidden cost. The payment may look good, but the trade-in number may not. So the warning here is not to run away from Genesis. The warning is to buy it with open eyes. Check dealer support where you live. Check how the exact model holds value. Check whether the vehicle you want is clearly part of the brand's future. And do not let the features blind you to the bigger question.
And while this brand is still trying to earn respect, the next one has the opposite problem. It already had respect. It already had history. It already had a place in American driveways. The issue now is that there is barely enough product left to carry the name. Number 5, Chrysler. Some brands struggle because nobody remembers them. This is not one of those brands. This name is tied to American family life, comfortable sedans, big interiors, long road trips, and the minivan itself. For decades, it had a role people understood. It made vehicles that felt practical, familiar, and sometimes surprisingly bold. That is what makes the current situation so frustrating. The problem is not that the name has no meaning. The problem is that the lineup has become so thin that the meaning has almost nowhere to go. A brand can have history, but history does not fill a showroom. Customers need fresh choices. Dealers need products to sell. Owners need to feel the company is still investing. Look at what has disappeared. The Chrysler 300 is gone. That car was not perfect, but it gave the brand presence. It had a shape people recognized. It had attitude. It looked like a proper American sedan at a time when the market was filling up with rounded crossovers. Once that car left, a big piece of the brand's personality left with it. What remains is mostly the minivan business. The Pacifica still makes sense for many families. The Voyager still exists in the picture, especially around practical and fleet use. But when a historic car brand is reduced almost entirely to one type of vehicle, that is not a strong product story. That is a brand living in a narrow lane. And narrow lanes are dangerous. If a company has a full lineup, one weak model does not sink the entire image. But if a brand has only a few vehicles, every problem becomes bigger. A delay hurts more, a sales drop hurts more, a bad review hurts more, a shift in parent company priorities hurts more. There is less room to absorb mistakes.
That is the real Chrysler concern. It is not all about whether one minivan is good or bad, it is about whether the brand behind that minivan has a clear future. If the parent company does not give it new vehicles, new energy, and a clear reason to exist, buyers are left wondering whether they are buying into a brand being rebuilt or a brand being kept alive because the name is too familiar to throw away. Owners should care about that. When a brand loses momentum, trade-in values can suffer. Dealers may carry fewer vehicles. Future updates may slow down. The ownership experience may still function, but it can start to feel like the company's attention is somewhere else.
So if you are looking at a Chrysler because the deal is good, slow down and look beyond the payment. Ask what the brand will look like in a few years. Ask whether the model you are buying is being improved or simply maintained. Ask whether you are buying a vehicle with a future behind it or a familiar badge with fewer and fewer options around it. Because once a brand becomes too narrow, it cannot afford many more wrong moves. But at least this name still has one clear job left. The next brand has a different kind of problem. It once had excitement, motorsport energy, and personality. Then slowly, the cars that made people care disappeared, and the badge started feeling quieter every year. Number 4, Mitsubishi. The fall feels different here because buyers still remember what the badge used to stand for. It was not always a quiet budget option parked at the edge of a dealership lot. Years ago, it had rally credibility, turbocharged attitude, tough off-road machines, and affordable cars with real personality. People did not just buy the badge because it was cheap. They bought it because it had energy, character, and a reason to care. That memory still matters. Say Lancer Evolution to the right person and they understand the loss. Say Eclipse and people remember when compact performance cars were part of normal car culture. Say Montero and older buyers remember a sport utility vehicle that felt like it could do more than carry groceries. That version of the brand had energy, it had fans, it gave people something to talk about. Now compare that with the modern showroom. What you mostly find are practical crossovers and budget-focused choices. Some of them may be fine transportation, some may make sense for people who want a warranty, a lower price, and simple utility. But the emotional pull is much weaker. There is no modern Lancer Evolution to give the brand a halo, no exciting coupe to bring younger buyers in, no strong performance identity telling people this badge still has attitude. That matters more than people think. A car company needs more than basic products. It needs a reason for people to care. When that reason disappears, price becomes the main weapon. And price is a dangerous weapon because someone can always discount harder, finance better, or offer a used vehicle with a stronger badge for similar money. Once a brand competes mostly on affordability, it becomes vulnerable. Tariffs can hurt, interest rates can hurt, bigger rivals can throw incentives at the market. Used Toyota, Honda, Hyundai, and Mazda models can suddenly look like better long-term bets. Trust is another problem. Mitsubishi has been through serious scandals. The old defect cover-up damaged the brand deeply. The fuel economy manipulation scandal years later made buyers question the company again. When a brand gets caught hiding or manipulating important information, the damage lasts. It follows the badge long after the headlines fade.
Owners have also reported issues over the years with continuously variable transmissions, electrical faults, suspension problems, stalling concerns, and durability questions on certain models. That does not mean every Mitsubishi is bad, but the perception is there, and perception affects resale value, trade-in confidence, and buyer demand. So the warning is not that Mitsubishi has vanished. It clearly has not. The warning is that the brand feels like it survived by becoming less interesting. And a car company that loses its soul has to work much harder to convince people that the deal is worth it. If you are considering one, do the extra work. Look at the exact transmission. Look at owner reports for the model year. Check dealer strength near you. Compare resale value against competitors. Do not let warranty length alone make the decision. Because if the strongest argument for a vehicle is simply that it is cheaper, you need to make sure it will not become expensive later. And that leads to another brand that also lost something important. This one did not just lose performance models, it lost the clear personality that once separated it from every other luxury badge fighting for attention. Number 3, Infiniti. There was a time when this badge had a clear purpose. It was not just a cheaper way to get a luxury vehicle, it had a different feel. Some models were sharper than people expected. Some had strong engines, rear-wheel drive balance, and a personality that made them feel alive compared with softer luxury rivals.
That is why the current situation feels so disappointing. The brand once had a lane. The G35 made people pay attention. The FX series looked different from almost anything else on the road. The QX80 had size and presence. Infiniti felt like the luxury choice for someone who still cared about driving, not just comfort. Then the market changed and Infiniti changed with it. But instead of becoming a stronger version of itself, it became harder to define. More crossovers, softer positioning, less performance attitude, less reason for a buyer to say, that is the one I want. In a crowded luxury market, that is a major problem. Luxury brands need a clear answer to one question. Why should someone choose you instead of Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, Acura, Cadillac, Lincoln, Genesis, or Bayerisch Motor and Werke? If the answer is not obvious, shoppers move on. They may like the vehicle during a test drive, but they do not feel pulled toward the brand. That is the hole Infiniti has been stuck in. It is not the most prestigious, it is not seen as the safest resale bet, it is not leading the market in electric vehicles, it is not known as the most reliable, and it no longer feels like the obvious driver-focused alternative it once was. The lineup tells the story. The Q50 is gone. The QX50 and QX55 have been phased down or moved away from the center of the brand. The remaining vehicles still give Infiniti something to sell, especially the larger sport utility vehicles, but the range feels much smaller and less exciting than it used to.
The dealer experience also matters. Luxury buyers want the showroom and service process to feel premium. When that standalone luxury energy fades or dealers get pulled closer to the parent Nissan network, buyers notice. Even if the service is fine, the image takes a hit. Reliability perception has not helped either. Infiniti has carried some Nissan family baggage, especially around transmission reputation, recalls, power loss concerns, brake issues, and owner complaints on certain models. It is not fair to paint every vehicle with the same brush, but used buyers often do exactly that. Infiniti is not without hope. There are still loyal owners and there are future product plans. But a planned comeback is not the same as a completed comeback. Buyers have to live with the car that exists today, not the promise that might arrive tomorrow. So the smart approach is caution. If the price is strong, the warranty is good, the dealer is solid, and you understand the depreciation risk, an Infiniti might make sense. But do not buy it believing the brand still has the same confidence it had in the G35 era. That version of Infiniti has been fading for years. And if that sounds risky, the next brand took the identity problem even further. It did not just drift away from its old personality, it stepped away from almost everything familiar and asked buyers to wait for a future that hasn't fully arrived yet.
Number 2. Jaguar. Few situations in the car market feel as strange as this because the name still carries weight. People know it. They remember the shape of the old cars, the long hoods, the sports cars, the sedans, the leather, the wood, the leaping cat, and the idea of British luxury with a little danger under the surface. That image did not disappear from memory. The problem is that memory does not help much when customers cannot clearly see what the brand is selling right now. The company has moved through a major reset. Familiar models have been ended, phased out, or pulled back across important markets. Sedans are gone, the F-Type is gone, the I-Pace has been pulled back. Other familiar vehicles have been cleared away as the company prepares for a different electric luxury direction. The idea may be bold, but the gap is dangerous. A car brand can reinvent itself, but timing matters. If the old lineup disappears before the new lineup is ready, the brand creates an empty space. Dealers have less to sell, customers have less to test drive, fans have less to believe in. And owners start wondering whether the vehicle in their driveway belongs to a brand moving forward or a brand trying to erase its past. That is the uncomfortable part. Jaguar is not just updating a few models, it is trying to become something different. Maybe that works. Maybe a smaller, more exclusive, fully electric luxury direction becomes successful. But for buyers right now, that future is still partly a promise. And promises do not support trade-in values the same way strong current products do.
The rebrand made everything louder. Instead of calming loyal fans and showing a clear bridge from the old cars to the new ones, the new image confused many people. Some saw it as brave and modern. Others saw it as disconnected from the heritage that made the brand valuable in the first place. Either way, the conversation became less about great cars and more about whether the company understood its own audience. Reliability perception adds another layer. Jaguar has always had emotional appeal, but it has also carried a reputation for expensive repairs, electronic issues, and heavy depreciation. A used Jaguar can look like an amazing bargain because the price drops so hard. You see the badge, the power, the interior, the shape, and you think you found luxury for half the money. But depreciation is usually trying to tell you something. It may be pointing to high repair costs, nervous used buyers, and a brand moving through a major transition. The real warning is not that Jaguar has no future. The warning is that the future is not fully here yet.
Until the new products arrive and prove themselves, buyers are stuck in the gap between what the brand was and what it wants to become. So if you are considering one, do not buy only the dream. Buy with numbers. Know the repair costs, know the dealer situation, know the warranty, know the resale risk, and understand that you are not just buying a car, you are buying into a brand that is trying to rebuild its identity in public.
That can be exciting, but it can also punish the wrong buyer. Still, the biggest warning is not a small luxury brand with a risky reset. It is a company so common that many people assume it must be fine. You see the cars everywhere, and that is exactly why the problem is easy to miss. Number 1. Nissan. This is the one many people will question first. You see these vehicles everywhere. They are in neighborhoods, rental fleets, commuter traffic, family driveways, and dealer lots across the country. A brand that visible does not look weak from the outside. That is why it is number 1. The danger is not always obvious. Sometimes a company can still sell hundreds of thousands of vehicles while the business underneath is under serious pressure. Big sales numbers can hide deeper problems if profit is weak, product planning is uncertain, and the company is restructuring just to regain stability. Nissan is not a forgotten badge. It is a global name with real history. The GTR, the Z, the Frontier, the Pathfinder, the Altima, the Maxima, the Armada, and the Leaf all meant something in different ways. At its best, the company stood for value, engineering, durability, and sometimes real excitement. People trusted the brand because it felt practical and familiar. But the last several years have been difficult. Global volume has fallen from previous highs. Profit has been squeezed. The company has gone through restructuring, job cuts, production changes, canceled plans, and attempts to find stronger partnerships. Those are not small warning signs. Those are the kinds of moves companies make when the old formula is not working well enough. The leadership scandal involving Carlos Ghosn also shook confidence at the highest level. That situation damaged trust with investors, partners, and the public. Even after the headlines moved on, the company still had to operate in a market that was changing fast. Hybrids became more important. Electric vehicles became more competitive. Software, battery supply, charging, and advanced safety technology all became central to the future. Nissan should have had an advantage because it was early with the Leaf, but being early is not the same as staying ahead. Other automakers caught up with longer range, stronger charging, sharper design, and more exciting electric vehicles. The product lineup has also been uneven. Some vehicles still sell because they are familiar, affordable, or supported by incentives, but familiarity alone does not build a future. A major automaker needs fresh models, healthy margins, and a clear plan for the next generation. This matters because buyers often confuse visibility with health. They think, if I see the cars everywhere, the company must be fine. But that is not always true. A brand can be common because of past success, rental volume, discounting, or old loyalty. That does not automatically mean the future is strong. Transmission reputation is another issue. Nissan's continuously variable transmission history has followed the brand for years. Not every model has the same problem, and not every owner has a bad experience. But once a reputation forms, it becomes part of the buying decision. Used shoppers remember it, mechanics mention it, trade-in values reflect it.
So if you are considering one, do not shop on habit. Do not assume the badge is safe just because your family owned one before. Look at the exact model. Look at the transmission. Look at long-term owner reports. Look at resale value. Look at whether the vehicle is being refreshed, supported, or quietly pushed aside. And look at the company's direction before you sign. Because the most dangerous risk is not always the unknown badge. Sometimes it is the familiar one you stopped questioning years ago. And that is the real point here. A car brand does not have to disappear tomorrow to become risky today. The warning signs are usually quieter than that. A thinner lineup, a confusing rebrand, weaker resale value, fewer fresh models, dealer uncertainty, a company trying to solve problems customers did not create but may still end up paying for. So before you buy, do not just ask whether the car looks good or the payment fits. Ask whether the brand behind it is getting stronger or weaker. That one question can save you money, stress, and regret later. Which brand surprised you most? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit like if this helped, and subscribe for more straight talk car buyer warnings before your next big purchase.